Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is Sunday, which means we are working all weekend this week to get this as close to ready as possible. It's basically 2 days until May 1st when we were originally planned to head out of town. We may be delayed for a couple of days, depending on how comfortable we feel with our progress, but we've made some really good progress.
We have. You can really see it coming together now.
We pretty much have all the pieces cut and sanded and ready for assembly for the side cabinets. There's still some little tweaks that we want to do, but let us show you what it would look like. So this is the passenger side, and we have all the pieces pretty much here laying out which side does this go on. One of these is for passenger, one of these is for driver side.
Yeah.
So this top shelf piece, as you saw from yesterday's video, we had forgotten to make this front ledge, so it didn't fit properly, so we remade that today to the proper size. So now that goes in there. So if we just lean this back, you'll see the construction behind here. There's a shelf here, there's the top, and then there's a little secret space down below that can be accessed from underneath. We left that there because we have a ladder that goes in here, and the ladder, one of the legs need to go in there. On the other side, we don't need it for the ladder, but this way we can put the ladder on either side, and also we can kind of shove things like hammocks or blankets or stuff like that we can reach in and grab and pull out. So then this panel just goes up and it becomes the front, or becomes the side panel where the doors will go on. And then this panel will close up the back so that things can't fall out. Oops. From inside there.
Don't break our new system.
And then what we'll probably do is we'll cut like a radius here so there's not the sharp angle, because it doesn't need to be there. Unless we make the kid's bed platform go all the way out there. Then there'll be a permanent top layer sitting over this ledge, and this ledge really won't be in the way of anything.
Then you have a kind of a weird open space where stuff can fall down.
Here?
Yeah. Well,
No, because this is all going to be closed. This is going to be closed. So we won't cut this radius yet until we figure it out. And then in the front,
yeah, there's a piece here.
Yeah, there's a piece there that closes up the front, so you can see that better when I move this. That piece there closes up the front, and also closes up the front of the bottom part of the bed platform in the front. And then we're not going to put, we were debating on whether or not to put a shelf here. And because if we don't put it in now, it's going to be harder to put it in later without having to disassemble. My thought is that we don't put the shelf in there now. That way we don't have limited space, and if we have something tall and big that we want to shove in there and push to the side, if we had a horizontal shelf in place, we wouldn't be able to do that. And Marlene's argument wanting to put a shelf in there is that she wants it to be more organized, which I can see the advantage too. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but
one of each.
Maybe one of each.
Doesn't have to be the same.
So when this closes together, we're gonna put a piece of board here to kind of clean this off. Same over here, and then there'll be permanent bed platform that'll close up the top of this back part. So what you will see is that this window will be blocked at about the halfway point, which we knew. We knew at the beginning, if we wanted a window there, that's gonna have to happen.
Yeah.
So we can still reach in there and open the windows and close the windows.
That's the reason why we didn't get a bigger window, because of our storage plan.
Yeah. So I'm okay with that. I think it'll work.
Yeah, it looks nice so far.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
So the next step is, I think, to start assembling these side cabinets, and then we'll show you guys when it's all done. A little bit more progress. We got the side pieces mounted here, right here, and then that one in the front. This one's still loose. We're gonna wait until the front piece goes on before we screw this one down from the top. And then we got those back horizontal support pieces, pocket screwed in to the two bulkheads over here. And then we're doing some final finishing on the big front pieces, and they're gonna go on any minute. And this will be closing up the front of these cabinets. Okay, over here I have this Simpson strong plate mounted to the frame of the van using what's called a Rivnut. And this is an M10 bolt. It's a coarse thread M10 bolt. Now I want to show you what Rivnuts are and how they work, for those of you that aren't familiar. This is an M10 Rivnut. There's threads inside. There's a lip in the front, and there are these ridges all around the outside. They're there designed to compress. So the tool that I'm using is a Rivnut tool. This is how you install a Rivnut. Just as the name suggests, a Rivnut is a rivet that has a nut inside. They come in all various sizes. What this is useful for is when you have a surface that you want to put a bolt into, but you can't access the other side. So then what you do is you take this tool, which is kind of like a riveting tool. You put this Rivnut in the front, and then you thread it on by pushing this plunger. Okay, you got it all the way down to that lip this way, and then you drill a hole the exact same diameter as this. You push the Rivnut in to the metal, and then as you squeeze, it'll compress this section, and essentially creating an inside wall that sandwiches the metal wall inside. Now what I've learned in this van is that the metal walls are really thin, and this Rivnut actually won't compress down hard enough to sandwich in that thin metal wall. So I kind of screwed up on two of these in the front, the first two, because I didn't know that. I had no material to experiment with. And those back ones I figured out, I had to put a washer in between to take up the extra space. And once the extra space is taken up, when I sandwiched it in, it crimped it down tight. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want this Rivnut to be loose in that metal, because then your nut would never thread onto it. And then once you got it crimped down tight, this is what it looks like. Here's a little piece that I did on a piece of extruded aluminum. You see, it looks like a nut with hole with a nut inside on the outside, and in the back you can see how this has been compressed. It used to look like this, and when you use the Rivnut tool, it creates that inner wall on the inside, sandwiching the metal in between. So now this is not going to move, and you can put a bolt. You can bolt things onto it from the outside, meanwhile never having access to the inside. So that's what a Rivnut does. I'll put a link to this tool and some Rivnuts that I'm using in the description below for those of you that are interested in using something like this, because it's really difficult if you're trying to put a nut on the inside of this wall. So this is kind of one of the only tools that'll work for you. Well, today's another one of those frustrating days, but we did get some things accomplished. It still looks more or less the same in here as the day before, but what we got accomplished today were some of the critical things. For one, I have these 4 Rivnuts drilled into the frame of the van, and then I have the Simpson strong plates mounted to that, and that's going to be the 4 corners that will tie this entire bed platform cabinet system into the van, and that'll also act as some additional support for the kids' beds on the top. So Marlene started applying polyacrylic to all the surfaces that I'll see. That's the finish we were going for with this birch ply. We're going to do a couple coats of polyacrylic and then sand smooth, so we'll get this natural wood color. And she wanted a contrast between the natural wood and like a white paint or a dark paint.
I haven't decided yet. Either dark or what.
We'll figure it out when we get there. But thanks again to you guys for watching. Thanks for your support on our channel. Continue to follow this build. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments below, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.